Okay, let's start it. Then, Father, I think that I'm ready. I be forsaking the world to witness your glory and essence. They tryna throw shade on my light, but they don't know that it's fluorescent. The fact that I got it from you, that is the ultimate blessing. That's facts. The only objective I'm seeing is doing your will. I live for these reasons. My allies be angels, got friendship with legions. We ready for battle, take vengeance on demons. The evil King Marcus, I don't shop in demons. Spirit ignite when I read through Ephesians. Put on that armor, I feel like a beetle. Not the musicians, I'm talking about spirit. It give me a high like it came from a needle. Talk to my flesh like, bro, I would leave you. My ego won't gas me, I don't ride a diesel. Those that have patience and wait on the Lord will mount on his wings and fly like a eagle. For real, I hopped out the matrix, I took the red pill. Had enemies after me since I was little. Got baptized in water, I felt like an ill electric. Spread that repentance, that word is my weapon. I work till it's finished, they gon' get this message. Like I texted, that Ruach be water. I'm close like I'm Texas. No Bluetooth involved, but I feel a connection. No suit and tie on me, but this my profession. Willing the Smith, no Smith and Wesson. I praise the I am, but this ain't a legend. 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 Praise the Most High, he a legend. Legend. Hamashiach is a legend. Legend. Hamashiach is a legend.
Told y'all before, I'm all in my bag. I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to help add a whole lot of souls into the fold, until the sky crack. I'm not holding back, so it's woe to my foes. I got smoke for my eyes, bringing hope to my folk. Yeah, we cannot be stopped, even if the crow cocks, if the cock crows. I'm on the straight and narrow, dodging potholes. The haters gon' plot, but the most I expose. So the beef that they cooking in me is pot roast. They better be glad I'm a vegan, or else I might eat them and I ain't leaving nothing but bones, you see. The Most High is so gracious, he'll never forsake us or leave us alone, you see. So I give him my loyalty, because he made me royalty. All I need is the soul to seed. Another man water, the Most High gon' grow the tree. And if he had the increase, then you know it's good fruit for your soul to eat.
So a Shabbat Shalom to everybody that is with us in the YouTube live. Shabbat Shalom to everybody who is watching the live stream in the Kodesh Conversations Facebook group. This is all new to us. I feel like we're doing something now. I feel like we're doing big things now. Streaming in two places at one time. So this week, this edition of Studying Scriptures, the Bible Read Along, we are going to be wrapping up 1 Kings. Shabbat Shalom, Facebook user. And so what I think I'm going to do is, although it's 4 chapters left, and we usually do 3 chapters a week, I think we're just going to go ahead and close it out, do all 4 chapters, okay? We have another special guest this week, family. Every week we have a special guest. Usually we got the lovely and talented Ribby, also Edwina Fort, aka the Hebrew Griot. This week we are welcoming back my middle child, Indigo. And Indigo is going to help us with the read along. So welcome Indigo on to the stage.
Shabbat Shalom. Hey.
Shabbat Shalom. How you doing today?
Good. It was rocky at first, but we made it. I'm here.
Hallelujah. Beautiful.
Hey, Mom.
All right. So I had one of my children this morning say, Oh, I see, Dad, you got your Umar Johnson on today. You got the Umar on today. That was not planned. I laid my clothes out in my mind anyway, earlier during the week. But we did happen to watch the Council Corner video that I shared in the Facebook group with Dr. Umar Johnson and Nick Cannon. We watched that with the fam, the little children and the older children. So it's fresh in their minds. What do you think about that, Indigo?
The council culture video.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that Umar Johnson interview?
I enjoyed the video and I appreciated how he brought to attention a problem and like public education system that we all knew existed. And not only did he bring to light the problem,
Mhm.
but he also gave options or ways to fix the problem. He shows you how you could fix it, and he pointed out how people know you can fix it, but they rather just let the problem continue because it's profitable. It's a profitable problem.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. So I like the fact that he was holding his community accountable. You know, the psychiatric community accountable. But even more so than that, you know, I respect and appreciate the fact that he said black men, black fathers, black educators need to step up. You know, this idea that there are no black teachers available, especially black male teachers available, is just not accurate. It's a lie. It's propaganda. In honesty, I think that he was correct in saying that they don't really want black men in the schools. There may be some there. You know, I had black men as educators, um, and I'm sure in the universities you find black male educators. You find more female black educators, and you definitely find more. What Coach say? Envelopians. Definitely find more of those. Um, but the power dynamic is important, right? Like, can't hide the fact that if you start bringing more men into that atmosphere, then what has been systemically over the past decades would definitely change. You know, you wouldn't be able to call these young boys uh, criminals. You wouldn't be able to criminalize them because black men, especially heterosexual men, are not going to allow young black boys to step to them as if they are young, as if they are men, right? We see the example. Coach Red was pointing out the video where the teacher slung the chair across the classroom, got everybody's attention. Absolutely, it's a lot of testosterone. It's a lot of melanin. Somebody gonna stop and say, "Whoa, hold on, what's going on? Let me make sure he's not trying to get my attention. Let me make sure he's not coming at me." Um, I think that that would be an improvement. In addition to that, you know, I think that the way teachers, especially with what's the word? Is not seniority. Um, no, no, no. This the system that teachers operate off of, where if you've been a teacher longer, you have tenure. The tenured teachers get to choose where they want to go, and a lot of the ones who are told our sis came tenure, they get to choose where they want to go, and they're going to go to the places that are more well funded and are less hectic as far as they have students to deal with that are less of a problem. They have an environment to deal with that is less likely to be problematic as far as whether or not it's dangerous. The neighborhood they're traveling in and out of. But those schools that they're avoiding, the better teachers, the one with tenure, experience, and the skills to pay the bills, uh, they're needed in the lower income schools. They're needed in the schools that are deprived of the funding to pay them more money. So yeah, I love that he brought that out. I really love that he brought that out. Coulter, you say you were saying the same thing, huh? Okay. Okay, absolutely. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Okay. Anything else you want to add on that, Indigo? How about you guys in the chat? Did you guys happen to check out that video? Have any thoughts, any comments on it? It's a lot going on out here, man. I was developing a watch later playlist to share with the family. One of the more humorous ones was the Gentile comedian that was doing a stand up, and this white lady in the audience say, I got black Jesus with me. Yeah. He said, wait, what? What are you talking about? I brought black Jesus here with me. He said, wait a minute. Tell me this is somebody you related to. This is getting ready to go very bad, very bad. She gets to talk about how she adopted this boy in her son's school. And he's like, this is just, no, this is getting worse and worse. The fact that you telling me that you paid for a black child, the fact that you call him a boy, and then her family started telling her to shut up. He said, listen to the family. This is the narrative in which you are sharing. This is all bad. Surprisingly, my children are familiar with the comedian. I had never seen him before at all. All right, Indigo. So my suggestion was we only have 4 chapters left. How you feel about just pushing on through? We're gonna wrap it on up. You good with that?
2 chapters each. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody entering. Shanti Mason, Shabbat Shalom. Shatana, Shabbat Shalom. I saw Koti Tina, Koti Gabora. Give some shout outs before we get started here. Koti Kimberly, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to the Hebrew Griot, always in the house. Koti Leslie, Shabbat Shalom. Koti Shamika, Shabbat Shalom. Shabaya, Shabbat Shalom. Y'all hear my helper in the background here? Koti Angelique, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Koti Gilead. Koti Christine. Koti Yah's child. Does it sound like an echo to y'all? Kane, I got a Koti Kimmy. Aki Daquan. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Koti Angelique, Koti Angela, Big Og Dawid. 1, 2, 3 in the place to be. As I say there in my I said the hip, hot, baby to the all right, let's do this thing, Indigo. We are picking up in 1 Kings chapter 21. Is that correct?
Chapter 21 or 19?
Is that correct?
Or 19.
Chapter 19. Like I said.
Okay.
Torah, chapter 19.
Okay.
19, 20, and 21. And I'm going to attempt to share these scriptures on the screen. Let me see. I'll let you start us off, Indigo. Young ladies first. Torah
Okay.
Koti Gabor with the 19. Don't be nervous.
All right. Okay.
Is there any echo, fam? Just real quick on the sound from my speaker. I just want to make sure. There's a little bit of echo. Okay, let me turn that down. And give me 1 second here to share the screen. I am not seeing my screen up. Neither do you guys, right?
Nope.
Oh, family. I'm trying to share my screen, but it's not allowing me. Yeah, that's me tinkering, trying to see what is causing me not to be able to share it. Okay, so we are gonna move on. I want to share, but it's not letting me. Okay, Andrew, ready when you are.
All right. Okay. First Kings chapter 19. And when Ahab reported to Isabel all that Elijah had done, also how he slew the prophets with the sword, Isabel sent a message to Elijah, saying, "Let the mighty ones do to me, and more so also,
Hold
if
on
I
one
don't."
second, Andrew. I apologize. Your volume just started going in and out and dipping low. Is it doing that all for you as well? Just make sure your mic is in a position where you get good volume. So is it in front of you?
It's my computer. I don't have a microphone.
Um, hold on one second. Okay, I think you got somebody here to give you a microphone.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, it should have been taken care of. I asked him to. All right. All right, give us one moment, family, while she get that taken care of. We're gonna get this down. I promise you, at some point. There's another point that he was making in the video, and I don't remember seeing in the chats, family, if y'all said y'all actually caught that interview also. But there was another point he was making about, and I'm putting this in my words now. He was making a point about where we spend our dollars as parents. If we understand that there's a school to prison pipeline and education is key in avoiding that pipeline, how much money do we spend investing in our children's education versus buying for our children things that add to this idea that they don't have long enough attention spans to read a book, say, for example. Yeah, it's damaging their attention span. So, for example, parents that for Christmas spend money on tablets and new phones and video games and all these things that are applying changes on how their brains function, but don't have literature, nonfiction literature in their house. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. I thought that was very eye opening as well. I know most of us in this walk already understand the importance of reading and literature and math and science, but um, I think we're considering ourselves a remnant at this point. And so the point he was making
Hear
would
me?
more relate to, yeah, the name of the video. Oh goodness, let me see if I can pull it back up. Indigo, let's do a mic check
Okay.
while I find that
Mike,
video.
guys, can you hear me?
Can we get a 7 in the chat if you guys can hear Indigo? Okay. Okay.
What about now? Can
I
you hear
got a
me?
yes.
Oh, wait.
You're very low, Indigo. Turn your mic volume up in your settings.
One second.
Loud and clear?
You can still hear me, right? Because I think I changed something.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. Now that I think you can hear me, I actually cannot hear you, Dad, because when I plug the microphone up, when you plug the microphone up to the computer, the speaker stops working.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Should I leave it plugged up?
Try without the mic one more time.
Okay. Wait, hold on one second.
Saving Our Sons, featuring
I can
Dr.
hear you
Umar
now.
Johnson. Okay. Do you still have the mic plugged up or no?
No, the mic is unplugged.
Okay. Well, she unplugged the mic. All right, Indigo. Let's take it from the top. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we got someone said they heard you better without the mic anyway. All right.
Look at that. Okay. Ready? All right. And when Ahab reported to Isabel all that Elijah had done, also how he slew all the prophets with the sword, Isabel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So let the mighty ones do to me, and more so also if I do not make your life as one of them by tomorrow about this time." And he feared and rose up and ran for his life, and went to Beersheba, which belonged to Jehudah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree, and prayed that he might die, and said, "It is enough. Now, Yahuwah, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers." And he lay and slept under the broom tree, and see, a messenger touched him and said, said to him, "Rise and eat." And he looked and saw by his head a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and turned and lay down. And the messenger of Yahuwah came back a second time and touched him and said, "Rise and eat, for the journey is too much for you." And he rose up and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights as far as Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. There he went into a cave and spent the night there. And see, the word of Yahuwah came to him and said to him, "What are you doing here, Eliam?" And he said, "I have been very jealous for Yahuwah, Elohim of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, they have thrown down your slaughter places, and they have killed your prophets with the sword. And I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it." And he said, go out and stand on a mountain before Yahuwah. And see, Yahuwah passed by in a great and strong wind, tearing the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces before Yahuwah. Yahuwah was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. Yahuwah was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. Yahuwah was not in a fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. And it came to be, when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his robe and went out and stood at the cave opening. And he said, and see, a voice came to him and said, What are you doing here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your slaughter places, and they have killed your prophets with the sword. And I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. And Yahuwah said to him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and you shall go and anoint Hazael as sovereign over Aram, and anoint Jehu of Nimshi as sovereign over Israel, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat of Abel Meholah, as prophet in your place. And it shall be that whoever escapes the sword of Hazael, Yahuwah does kill. And whoever escapes from Jehu, Elisha does kill. And I shall leave 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed, and every mouth that has not kissed him. And he went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he was with the 12th, excuse me. And Elijah passed by him and threw his robe on him. And he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, Please, let me kiss my father and my mother, and then I follow you. And he said to him, Go, turn back for what I have done to you. For what have I done to you? And he turned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slaughtered them and cooked their flesh using the implements of the oxen, and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he rose up and followed Elijah and became his servant.
Hallelujah. Was that sound better after I disconnected? Okay, hallelujah. All right. So there's just a couple of interesting things there. That reminded me of a couple of other things. When Indigo was reading that he fell asleep and woke up, and the messenger touched him and told him, Rise and eat. Does that make you guys think of anything? Remind you of anything else? Another event similar? Well, there's that. When he was told to eat the scrolls, and he said it tasted like honey in my mouth, but that's not quite what I'm thinking about. Nope. In the New Testament, in the so-called New Testament, when Peter was told, Rise and eat, but he was shown unclean animals. He said, I've never eaten anything unclean in my life. He went to sleep, and the messenger of the Melak woke him up and said, again, rise and eat. Happened 3 times. Came. Yah's child got it. Yeah. I find it interesting when you see stuff that you think may have only transpired in the Old Testament or only in the New Testament, because there's this idea that there was this big change from the Old Testament to the New Testament. That's the idea that's promoted to us. When we see the Heavenly Father and the Master operate the same way in both places. The ones who changed are us. What do we got here? Friendly neighborhood Gentile. Shalom and welcome again. Yahushua, when he came back and told the disciples to eat, okay. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. She nailed it. Yeah. Well, that's the one I was thinking. Yeah. What else we got here? Coach Tishatana said events are happening in both places. Okay. There's another event that I always lean to when we see Moshe, Masha, however you decide to pronounce that, Moses, lay hands on Joshua, son of Nun, and imparts upon Joshua the Ruach. Before I read this for myself, I didn't know that nobody was doing no laying hands in the so-called Old Testament. I thought that was strictly a New Testament thing. Um, yeah. So anyway, there was that. Jezebel was something else, wasn't she? I had another point there, but I forgot it. Come back to me, I'll bring it up. Okay, moving on to chapter 20. And Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, gathered all his army, and there were 32 kings with him, with horses and chariots. And he went up and besieged Shomeron and fought against it. And he sent messengers into the city to Ahab, sovereign of Israel, and said to him, thus says Ben-Hadad, your silver and your gold are mine, and your wives and children, the best are mine. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Okay. That is a lofty statement. And the sovereign of Israel answered and said, as you say, master, O sovereign, I am yours and all that I have. And all the messengers came back and said, thus spoke Ben-Hadad, saying, indeed, I have sent you, saying, give me your silver and your gold and your wives and your children. But about the same time tomorrow I shall send my servants to you, and they shall search your house and the houses of your servants. And it shall be that whatever is pleasing in your eyes, they shall lay hold of and take it. Wow. And the sovereign of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, please know and see the evil this one is seeking. For he sent to me for my wives, for my children, and for my silver, and now for my gold. And that's where I draw the line, is what it sounds like he's saying. And my gold. And I did not refuse him. And all the elders and all the people said to him, do not listen or agree. So he said to the messengers of Ben-Hadad, say to my master the sovereign, all that you sent for to your servant, the first time I shall do, but this I am unable to do. And the messengers went and brought back word to him. And Ben-Hadad sent to him and said, the gods do so to me, the mighty ones do so to me, and more also, if enough dust is left of Shomeron for a handful of each of the people who follow me. And the sovereign of Israel, in other words, he was threatened. So the sovereign of Israel answered and said, speak, him who girds on his armor should not boast like him who lays it down. Wow. And it came to be, when this word was heard, as he and the sovereign, excuse me, as he and the sovereign were drinking in the booths, that he said to his servants, set yourselves so they themselves, I apologize, set yourselves. So they set themselves against the city. And see, a prophet came near Ahab, king of Israel, saying, thus says Yahuwah, have you seen all this great company? See, I am giving it into your hand today, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. And Ahab said, by whom? And he said, thus says Yahuwah, by the young rulers of the provinces. And he said, who opens the attack? Then he answered, you. So Abraham want to know, if you get ready to give this battle over to me, who among these soldiers is going to be the one to win this battle? He said, well, you got these young lions out there in each one of these provinces, and they are heads of these particular areas. They the ones that's going to give it over to you. And then Abraham was like, well, who going to lead them? Who going to kick it off? And he said, you are. I don't really know if Ahab was really about it like that, but I guess we're going to see. Yeah. Verse 15. And he mustered the young rulers of the provinces, and there were 232. And after them he mustered all the people. And all the people of Israel were 7,000. all the children of Israel, 7,000. And they went out at noon, while Ben-Hadad and the 32 kings helping him were getting drunk and in the booths. And the young rulers of the provinces went out first. And Ben-Hadad sent out, and they reported to him, saying, Men have come from Shomerone. Then he said, If they have come out for peace, seize them alive. And if they have come out for battle, seize them alive. So these young rulers of the provinces went out of the city with the army which followed them, and each struck his man. So we already read about them being out of Damascus. It reads Damascus, but Damascus, same place. So the Arameans fled, and Israel pursued them. And Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, escaped on a horse with the horsemen. And the sovereign of Israel went out and struck the horses and chariots and struck the Arameans, a great smite. And the prophet came to the sovereign of Israel and said to him, Go, strengthen yourself, and know and see what you should do. For at the turn of the year, the sovereign of Aram is coming up against you. I apologize for that. And the servants of the sovereign of Aram said to him, Their mighty ones are mighty ones of the hills. Their gods are gods of the hills. That is why they were stronger than we were. But let us fight against them in the plain. Okay, that made me remember what I was thinking about earlier. So in the chapter, and I'm just going to go back real quickly. In the chapter that Indigo read in chapter 19, Yahuwah sends the prophet out, and he goes out before the mountain and says he saw Yah wasn't in the mountain. And he goes out and he says Yah was not in the wind, and Yah was not in the earthquake, and Yah was not in the fire. Y'all remember reading that?
Yeah.
Now that we're back here and we got these Gentiles trying to figure out what God it is that Israel worshiped and why the God that they worship was able to overpower their gods so that they can meet him in a place that he is not powerful, right? They want to meet the God of Israel in a place where the God of Israel doesn't have power so that they can overcome Israel. They don't understand that the mighty one of Israel is the most high. We all like to use that phrase. He is the highest. He is the creator of those that everybody else worship as gods, right? He said he sets himself over Israel, but he sets other deities, lower deities, the angels, the Melachim, and the fallen over these other nations. Well, he's the creator of those. You can't meet him anywhere that he's not going to best you in this situation. But when the prophet was doing that, it reminded me of Abraham. Y'all remember when Abraham was trying to better understand Yah before he went for his higher education in the caves with Shem and Noah. Who else? Shem and Noah. That Abraham went out and tested the sun to see if Yahuwah was in the sun, and tested the moon to see if Yahuwah was in the moon, and tested where the water, tested the water to see if Yahuwah was a water deity. And they said, no, this can't be because the water is limited to where the land begins. And so the Almighty can't be in the water because the water has limitation. And in his going out to understand the power of all, the Almighty power, Yah said this is the righteous thing. And he said, in your righteous effort of trying to understand, but also righteously discerning that these lower entities could not possibly be me, I'm gonna give you some understanding. Yeah. So I thought that was beautiful. And it looks like even though this prophet understood Yah, he was still being tested and still trying to better understand Yah. So hallelujah for that. And now he's gonna give these strangers, these Gentiles, some understanding. So they said, well, we're gonna take them in the plains, right? 25.
You're in verse
4. 24. Total. Now do this: take away the sovereigns from each from his position, and put officers in their places, and number an army like the army that you have lost, horse for horse, and chariot for chariot, and let us fight against them in the plain. And we are we not stronger than they are? And he listened to their voices and did so. And it came to be at the turn of the year that Ben Hadad mustered the Arameans and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were mustered and were fed. And they went against them. And the children of Israel encamped before them like two little flocks of goats, while the Arameans filled the land. And there came near a man of Yahuwah and spoke to the sovereign of Israel and said, thus says Yahuwah, because the Arameans have said Yahuwah is a power of the hills, but he is not powerful in the valley. Therefore, I shall give all this great company into your hands. Because the king was so righteous, y'all think? No, that's not why. Not Adab. Okay. And they camped opposite each other for 7 days. And it came to be that on the seventh day the battle was joined, and the children of Israel struck 100,000 foot soldiers of the Arameans in one day. 100,000 in one day. And those that were left fled to Aphek or Afik into the city. And a wall fell on 27,000 of the men who were left. Wow. Just fell down just like that. And Ben-Hadad fled and went into the city into an inner room. And his servant said to him, see now, we have heard that the sovereigns of the house of Israel are lovingly committed sovereigns. Please, let us put sackcloth around our waists and ropes around our heads and go out to the sovereign of Israel. It could be that he spares your life. So they girded sackcloth on their loins and put ropes around their heads and came to the sovereign of Israel and said, your servant Ben-Hadad said, please let me live. And he said, is he still alive? He is, my brother. And the men divined, and they quickly grasped it and said, your brother Ben-Hadad. And he said, go, bring him. So Ben-Hadad came out to him, and he let him come up on the chariot. And Ben-Hadad said to him, that's not an act of submission. Would we agree? That this supposed to be submit himself is still riding his chariot, right? But he said the servants bow. He come on the chariot.
right.
And Ben-Hadad said to him, the cities which my father took from your father I return, and set up marketplaces for yourself in Damascus, as my father did, and show me. And Ahab said, I send you away with this covenant. And he made a covenant with him and sent him away. And a certain man of the sons of the prophets said to his neighbor by the word of Yahuwah, strike me, please. But the man refused to strike him. Then he said to him, because you have not obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, see, as soon as you leave me, a lion shall strike you. And when he left him, a lion found him and struck him. And he found another man and said, strike me, please. So the man struck him, striking and wounding. And then the prophet went and waited for the sovereign by the way, and disguised himself with ashes on his eyes. Ashes on his eyes. So that come from a place. Ashes on the eyes. We talk about that when you see. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, verse 39. And as the sovereign passed by, he cried out to the sovereign and said, your servant went out into the midst of the battle. And see, a young man came over and brought a man to me and said, guard this man. If he should in any way be missing, your life shall be for his life, or else you shall pay a talent of silver. And it came to be while your servant was busy there, and there he was gone. And the sovereign of Israel said to him, your judgment is right. You yourself have decided it. Then he quickly removed the ashes from his eyes, and the sovereign of Israel recognized him as one of the prophets. And he said to him, thus says Yahuwah, because you have let slip out of your hand a man whom I put under the ban, therefore your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people. And the sovereign of Israel went to his house embittered and displeased and came to Shomerah. He was not supposed to let Ahab go.
He pulled a Saul, a King Saul.
Ben Hadad, I apologize, Tola, came, Indigo, he pulled us out. The bleating of sheep in the background. But again, this prophet, he still had to approach him like, he is the king, he does have the power. He couldn't just go throwing accusations. He had to put it to him in a way that it could be received. And then reveal, man, you done messed up.
Yeah, I
You
find
done messed
it
up,
interesting
my brother.
how Eli in the chapter before, Eli was talking about how he was the only prophet left, and here we are, another prophet.
One more time, repeat that, please.
I was saying I find it interesting how, like in a chapter that I just read before, Eli was complaining or crying out because he felt he was the only prophet left, and here we are reading about another
Yeah,
prophet in the very next chapter.
yeah, yeah. Listen, we see that uh, a couple of times where these prophets think that they're the only ones left. That is a common thing. Kota Yahshua said, for his name's sake. Okay. Yah is not going to let anything that he says is going to happen fall empty to the ground. Okay. All right. Picking up at 21. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
All right. And it came to be after these events that Naboth the Israelite had a vineyard which was in Yisrael, near the place of Ahab the sovereign of Shemaron. And Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, give me your vineyard, and it shall be a vegetable garden for me, since it adjoins my house. And let me give you a better vineyard for it. If it is good in your eyes, let me give you its worth in silver. And Naboth said to Ahab,
Pause for just a second.
far be it.
If I'm reading this correctly, he says, I'm gonna give you something for it, but he says, give it to me basically if you think this is a good offer. He didn't demand it of him, right?
All right,
At least not at this point.
not yet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering for Naboth's sake, like the sovereign did say, if it's good in your eyes. I just don't think this man deserved what they tried to do to him. Okay, go ahead.
All right. And Naboth said to Ahab, far be it from me, by Yahuwah, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers to you. And Ahab went to his house embittered and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Israelite had spoken to him when he said, I do not give you the inheritance of my fathers. And he lay down his head and turned away his face and did not eat food. He was throwing a tantrum.
I think that's like, you have to respect somebody who has a piece of property that is in their family. Like we've experienced that before. Somebody says, I got a piece of property that's been passed down from generation to generation, and I want this to stay in my family. I respect your offer, but it's not for sale. Like you got to respect that. And this guy does what you say again. He went there and had a little
He's throwing
tantrum,
a
right?
tantrum. Right.
Rib say your ema say fell across the bed and cried like a little girl.
Right.
Good.
And it's crazy because I feel like Ahab had bigger problems to worry about than a vineyard that wasn't his.
Yes.
his priorities are
Yes.
messed up. Okay.
Mhm.
And Isabel, his wife, came to him and said to him, "Why is your spirit so embittered that you are not eating food?" And he said to her, "Because I have spoken to Naboth the Israelite, and said to him, 'Give me your vineyard for silver, or if you prefer, I will give you another vineyard for it.' But he answered, 'I do not give you my vineyard.' So Isabel, his wife, said to him, 'Do you now rule over Israel? Do you now rule over Israel? Rise up, eat food, and let your heart be glad. Let me give you the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite.' And she wrote letters in
Mm.
Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal and sent the letters to the elders and nobles who were dwelling in the city with Naboth. And she wrote in the
Pause
letters
for a second.
saying,
Again, I just want to point out here that this is the spirit of Jezebel, if you want to call it the spirit of Jezebel. If you want to more accurately uh, deal with it as the spirit of Semiramis, as Rip often points out, this is the operation that she uses here. I'm going to get you that vineyard, but I'm not going to get it as a queen. I'm going to get it as a king. I'm going to operate from behind you as if I am you. And then she goes through the process. Here she is. Um, she writes letters in his name, sealed with his seal, and starts operating as if she is the king, while the king is in a feminine, emasculated fashion, laid across sobbing on the bed. But now she operating like the king, right? If you go back to Semiramis, that's exactly what she did. She used the son to rule from behind the throne. She couldn't sit on the throne, but she ruled from behind the throne and put him out as the puppet leader, right? That's the
right,
spirit. I'm not saying that Jezebel, or Semiramis doesn't have a whorish spirit, because there is that as well. But oftentimes when we talk about the Jezebel spirit, we see people use the word Jezebel or the name Jezebel, they automatically just focus on the whorishness. You know what I mean? And they don't focus on
mhm,
this part right here. Uh, Coty Hebrew Griot, Ribby said it's a ritual. Beyonce just did the same thing. Before she was a queen, then she became a king. 100%. It's you so on point with that, because believe it or not, in the mystery teachings, there is the same aspect of uh, the what's the sister version of the Masons, the Eastern Stars. Um, Once you get to a certain level, you are then a fellow or brother. You are allowed to be on the level with the man. You've now transitioned to manhood. You know what I'm saying? Alice Bailey. That is correct. Yeah. Then she became king. King. Um, Usurper of authority. The same spirit of Satan. Cain. Listen, um, Helena Blavatsky, Oprah Winfrey. It's several of these figures that these women rise to a certain level, and then they are considered to be on par. Let's see what you got here. Shalom Koti, that Jezebel spirit again in the book of Revelations with the fake prophetesses came, sis. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right, Indigo, go for it.
okay, I think we were at verse 9, maybe? Yeah, verse 9.
Yes.
And she wrote in the letters saying, "Proclaim a fast, and seat Naboth at the head of the people, and seat 2 men, sons of Belial, before him to bear witness against him, saying,
Mm.
You have blessed Elohim and the sovereign. Then you shall take him out and stone him to death. And the men of his city And the men of his city, the elders, and the nobles who were inhabitants of his city did as Isabel had said to them, and it was written as it was written in the letters which she had sent to them. They proclaimed a fast and seated Naboth at the head of the people. And the men, sons of Belial, came and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him against Naboth in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth has blessed Elohim and the sovereign. And so they took him outside the city and stoned him with stones, and he died. And they sent to Isabel, saying, Naboth has been stoned and is dead. And it came to be, when Isabel heard that Naboth had been stoned and was dead, Isabel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite, which he refused to give you for silver, for Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to be, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose to go down to take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite. And the word of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Rise up, go down to meet Ahab, the sovereign of Israel, who lives in Shomeron. And he is in the vineyard of Naboth, where he has gone down to take possession of it. And you shall speak to him, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, have you murdered and also taken possession? And you shall speak to him, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, in the place where dogs licked the blood of Naboth, the dogs are going to lick your blood, even yours. And Ahab said to Elijah, Have you found me, O my enemy? And he answered, I have found you because you have sold yourself to do evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And see, I am bringing evil on you, and shall consume your descendants and cut off from Ahab every male in Israel, both those shut up and those left at large. And make your house like the house of Jeroboam son of Nebat, like the house of Baasha son of Ahiah, because of the provocation with which you have provoked me and made Israel sin. And also of Isabel, Yahuwah has spoken, saying, The dogs are going to eat Isabel by the wall of Yisrael. The dogs are going to eat whoever belongs to Ahab and dies in the city, and the birds of the heaven are going to eat whoever dies in the field. Indeed, there never was anyone like Ahab who sold himself to do evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, because Isabel, his wife, stirred him up. And he acted very abominably in following idols, according to all that the Amorites had done, whom Yahuwah dispossessed from before the children of Israel. And it came to be, when Ahab heard those words, that he tore his garments and put sackcloth on his body, and fasted and lay in sackcloth and went softly. And the words of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, See how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Because he has humbled himself before me, I do not bring the evil in his days, but in the days of his son I bring the evil on his house.
Wow. There was a lot of stuff there, man. Goodness. This phrase, sold yourself to do evil, is the same as saying sold your soul for rock and roll. Whatever. What we just witnessed Jezebel do was offer a sacrifice in order to get for her husband what he wanted. She sacrificed a man to her gods to receive the blessing from her gods. And it's crazy because Jezebel and Ahab had already been prophesied against, but they still had the choice and an opportunity not to, if you want to say, but y'all knew they was going to do it. They had an opportunity not to proceed with wickedness. But when given the choice, and you could say Jezebel initiated because she was the high witch or the high priestess or whatever that made the sacrifice. Priests make sacrifices, right? She made the sacrifice. But then by him going to take possession of it, he then attached himself to the blessing that the sacrifice procured them. It was a blood sacrifice. Do y'all see that? It was a blood sacrifice. And then he went and took part in it by saying, man, look at this. This is what I always wanted. This good venue right here next to it. And all it took was, yeah. And now you can you can justify it. You can try to wash your hands of the dirty deed, or hide your hands, as they say, right? You can hide your hand by saying, I didn't do the deed, she did. But you're participating in the benefits of what the sacrifice brought. It's being added to your household, right? So
Mhm.
the sacrifice being added to your household, y'all said, mm-mm, you sold yourself to do evil, even though he didn't physically do it. He was the head of his
That's what I was gonna
household.
say. Like that choice of words, sold yourself to do evil. After they
Hmm.
sacrificed that man, and he went and got that vineyard, he collected it. He collected the prize. He made his bed. He got to lay in it again.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Uh, Coach Shatana said they chose to do evil. They chose evil. We say you can't hide from Yah. Can't. 100%. Yeah. We see stuff like that in the world today. You know, y'all see folks come up missing, folks come up dead, and then people all of a sudden getting all these benefits and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna speculate here on my YouTube channel, but we've seen this stuff in the world, right? Here is the blueprint, as Jay Z said, and as KRS One said. Here's the blueprint of where they get that order of operation from. We saw it first with Cain and Abel. We talked about that in the priesthood series. You know, we've seen that over and over. We see Esau still try to operate like that.
And even if you try to vain reason with yourself, I mean, I still see it.
Yeah.
You know, he vain reason in a way like I'm cool, I ain't doing it. I mean, I don't know what happened to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And then we see him come to a swift realization that he is messed up. But for him, and somebody asked about this some weeks ago. I can't remember if it was Kimmy or one of y'all asked about this before. For him, Yah has determined, no, it's done. Like, I'm not gonna, this is what I'll do, because you acknowledge me. I'm not gonna do it right now, but you're done. You're done. Okay. I apologize, y'all. Something in my eyeball. All right. Chapter 22. And they continued 3 years without fighting between Aram and Israel. And it came to be in the third year that Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, Yehuda, came down to the sovereign of Israel. And the sovereign of Israel said to his servants, do you know that Ramoth and Gilead is ours? And we are keeping silent from taking it out of the hand of the sovereign of Aram? And he said to Jehoshaphat, do go with me to battle. Salakia, at Ramoth, Gilead. And Jehoshaphat said to the sovereign of Israel, I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses. So here we have an instance, and this is rare, where we see both the king of Israel and the king of Judah sticking together to go do battle against their enemy. And Jehoshaphat said to the sovereigns of Israel, please first inquire for the word of Yahuwah. And the sovereign of Israel gathered the prophets, about 400 men, or now he good with the prophets, and said to them, do I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or do I refrain? And they said, go up, for Yahuwah does give it into the hand of the sovereign. And Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of Yahuwah besides that we might inquire of him? So who is these prophets he was inquiring? These prophets look a little strange. Who is these Canaanites? Phoenicians? I'm not recognizing a prophecy. Is there not a prophet of Yah? My man, Jehoshaphat. There is still one man, Mikiyahu, son of Yimla, to inquire of Yahuwah by him. But I hate him because he does not prophesy good concerning me. Did I get that right? Did I say it like he probably said? I can't stand
saying that, dude.
He don't never have nothing good to say about me. Yah don't have anything good to say about you. He is a prophet of Yah. He's speaking God's words. So who you hate?
Right.
We got to think about this in our lives too sometimes. You're like, man, this is just not going. Like I'm steady trying to bust this wall down. And they keep me from getting down this wall. Sometimes it's Yah. Sometimes it's not. But we need to discern sometimes whether it's Yah before we go steady trying to kick down that wall. It may be a cliff on the other side of that wall, trying to keep our fool selves from falling off of it. So he don't like the prophets of Yah still. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the sovereign say so. Let it not be. So the sovereign of Israel called an officer and said, bring Micaiah, son of Yimlah, at once. And the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, were sitting, each one on his throne, dressed in their robes, at a threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Shomeron. And all the prophets were prophesying before them. And Zedekiah, son of Kenaniah, had made horns of iron for himself, and said, thus says Yahuwah, with these you push the Arameans until they are destroyed. And all the prophets were prophesying so, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for Yahuwah shall give it into the hand of the sovereign. So these are not the prophets of Yah, but they saying Yah saying things. Sound like these preachers. Okay. 13. And the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, see, now the words of the prophets with the mouth are good toward the sovereign. The words of the prophet with one mouth are good toward the sovereign. Please, let your word be like the word of one of them, and you shall speak good. And Micaiah said, as Yah lives, whatever Yahuwah says to me, that's what I will speak. And he came to the sovereign, and the sovereign said to him, Micaiah, do we go against Ramoth Gilead to do battle, or do we refrain? And he answered him, go and prosper, for Yahuwah shall give it into the hands of the sovereign. And the sovereign said to him, how many times have we made you swear that you do not speak to me except the truth in the name of Yahuwah? So he said, I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And Yahuwah said, these have no master. Let everyone return to his house in peace. And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, have I not said to you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? Told you he wasn't going to say what I wanted him to say. Then he said, therefore hear the word of Yahuwah. I saw Yahuwah sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of the heavens standing by him, on his right and on his left. And Yahuwah said, who shall entice Ahab to go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And this one said this, and another said that. And a spirit, that is a Melachim, came forward and stood before Yahuwah and said, let me go to entice him. I'll do it. Let me, lost my place that quick. Let me entice him. 22. And Yahuwah said to him, in what way? And he said, this is important, y'all. I shall go out and be a spirit of falsehood. I will go and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, entice him and also prevail. Go out and do so. This is Yah. They said, who will go and entice Ahab? Because this has to happen, right? So who's going to go and entice him? Yah ain't going to do it. But this Melak is saying, I will go and be a deceiving spirit in the mouth of those prophets. And Yah said, I'll allow it. Right? 23. And now see, Yahuwah has put a spirit of falsehood in the mouth of all these prophets of yours. And Yahuwah has spoken evil concerning you. And Zedekiah, son of Kenana, came near and struck Micaiah on the cheek and said, where did the spirit of Yahuwah pass over from me to speak to you? And Micaiah said, look, you shall see on that day when you go into an inner room to hide. And the sovereign of Israel said, take Micaiah and return him to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, son of the sovereign, and say, thus said the sovereign, put this one in prison and feed him with bread of affliction and water of affliction until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, if you ever return in peace, Yahuwah has not spoken by me. And he said, hear all the people. And the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Yehuda, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, let me disguise myself and go into battle. But you put on your robes. So the sovereign of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. This is slick here. Why y'all think he would do that?
The same spirit, God prophesied, and the prophet told him was going to be a lying spirit, and it convinced him to.
He want to disguise himself, and all of a sudden he want to let the king of Judah be the only one looking like a king on the battlefield. That don't even sound like him. See how that works out. And the sovereign of Aram had commanded the 32 commanders of his chariot, saying, fight with no one, small or great, but only with the sovereign of Israel. And it came to be with the commander, when the commanders of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, indeed, it is the sovereign of Israel. Now, he's the sovereign of Judah. Aram coming for the sovereign of Israel. But the sovereign of Israel then told Judah, you put on your robes, I'm going to dress like a common. Deal. So they turned aside to fight against him, and Jehoshaphat cried out. And it came to be when the commanders of the chariots saw that it was not the sovereign of Israel, because it was the sovereign of Judah, that they turned back from pursuing him. And a man drew a bow in his simplicity and struck the sovereign of Israel between the joints of his arm. And he said to the driver of his chariot, turn around and take me out of the battle, for I am wounded. And the battle increased that day. And the sovereign was propped up in his chariot facing the Arameans and died at that evening. And the blood ran out from the wound onto the floor of the chariot. And as the sun was going down, a shout passed through the camp, saying, each to his city and each to his land. So the sovereign died and was brought to Shomeron, and they buried the sovereign in Shomeron. And when the chariot was washed at a pool in Shomeron, the dogs licked up his blood where the horse bathed. Interesting. According to the word of Yahuwah, which he had spoken. And the rest of the acts of Ahab and all that he did, and the ivory house which he built, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? So Ahab slept with his fathers, and Yahu, his son, reigned in his place. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, began to reign over Yehuda in the 4th year of Ahab, sovereign of Israel. So Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became sovereign, and he reigned 35 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Azubah, the daughter of Shili. And he walked in the ways of his father Asa, and he did not turn aside from them, doing what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah. Only the high places were not taken away. So he didn't do that part. But the people slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. And Jehoshaphat made peace with the sovereign of Israel. And the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and the might that he showed and how he fought, are they not written in the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? And the rest of the cult prostitutes who remained in the days of his father Asa, he cleared out from the land. Hallelujah. And there was then no king in Edom, a deputy was sovereign. Jehoshaphat made Tarshish ships to go to Ophir for gold. However, they did not go, for the ships were wrecked at Etzion Geber. And then Ahaziah, the son of Ahab, said to Jehoshaphat, let my servants go with your servants in the ships. But Jehoshaphat would not. So Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of Dawid, his father. And Joram, or Jehoram, his son, reigned in his place. Ahaziah, son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel in Shomeron in the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, and reigned for 2 years over Israel, and did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, and walked in the ways of his father, and in the ways of his mother, and in the way of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. He served Baal, bowed himself to it, and provoked Yahuwah, the power of Israel, according to all that his father had
His
done.
father had
Good. That is something else. There was something that jumped out to me. I don't remember. Ooh, these kings of Israel are something else. And Judah wasn't much better, but you see, intermittently, you would have a king that would come in and clear out some of the madness, stop them from worshiping idols. But if they didn't clear, and I think this something we got to look at in our own lives as well. If they left any remnant of the idol worship or anything around after them, it was possible that somebody else would come pick it back up again. So it's important, that we clear out all the things that could cause us to stumble. We were talking about something similar to that earlier, just temptation. It wasn't about sin, but just the temptation. If we remove the things that tempt us, you find it's a little bit easier to get further down the road that you're trying to travel. Koti Shatana says that was a lot of treachery and evil done in this chapter, Cain says. Cain. Ahab couldn't get away with that plan of his. Though it's like, when we read that archer drew his bow in his simplicity, it's like he wasn't even thinking about trying to kill Ahab at that time. He was just shooting his bow in a battle. But Yahuwah guided that arrow to do his will. Koti Kimberly said when Yah was passing down judgment in Ahab, it reminded me of how he judged Eli and his sons and how he cut them off. Cain says, I can see that. Cain. I think I remember what it was. Akoti asked a question earlier. Let's see if I can find it. One of you asked, why do I think the prophets or many of the prophets felt like they were alone? And I saw somebody answer that in the chat. And I apologize if I can't find it again. I'm looking for it. Anyway, I apologize because I can't find it. Just as a quick search. You know what? And this is my opinion. Because it happened again when we were reading something here. When we read through the prophets and their testimonies, and we read about the struggles that they had trying to communicate to Israel that Israel was doing something wrong and needed to repent. The response that they got from Israel seems familiar to me. And although I don't feel alone because I have my family and y'all that live here with me, I do remember as I was reading those things and in the zeal of me and Rib's youth in the truth or in this walk, going out and try to speak to Israel here in the same way, and often feeling the same thing. It's like ain't nobody trying to hear this. You get that I feel like I'm alone. We literally can't be because Yah is building his body, through Yahushua Hamashiach as we speak. But sometimes I could understand them feeling that way because of the obstruction and the obstacles that they faced daily. Sometimes it could feel like an insurmountable obstacle, hill, wall that you're trying to climb in order to share Yah's word, and that's what prophecy is, right? It is not divining, you know, the future. That's not biblical prophecy. It is relating Yah's word to those who need to hear Yah's word. Um, it says we're all given the gift of prophecy, understanding the word, and in discerning the word, disseminating it to who it needs to be disseminated to. Todas is that is what I think. Uh, Todas is. Okay. Do you want to also? Why do you think that every prophet felt lonely? And I honestly don't think it was every prophet, but I think we do read about it enough that, yeah, I think I don't know. You have an opinion on that?
It's, a lot of time when we read the scripture, because the scriptures will tell us about like what's going on in Israel and what's going on with Judah.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we kind of think that it kind of read like they was all there together when they wasn't. And so, Yeliah was worlds apart from the prophet, another prophet or whatever may have you. And when you're just
Yeah.
surrounded by wickedness, it's real easy to think like, am I the only person out here willing, that's trying to truly, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because even when, because you can't be in other people's head, and that's kind of like how y'all responded the way he responded when he
Yeah.
was like, I have 700 men with 700, 500 more prophets that I preserved for
700. Yeah.
myself. You know, because we can't be in other people's head, it's kind of hard to know what people are thinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So somebody can sit there and look like they just, you know, uh, bagging groceries, but in their head they probably meditate on the Most High, or what I'm saying.
That's
And
true.
so, in sometimes in our vanity, and not to call the prophets vain or anything, but sometimes in our vanity, we can assume that, like we the only ones obviously focused on doing right, and what I'm saying, making the right move and concentrating, you know, on the Most High, when it appears as if everybody else is just blatantly and just unbashfully doing wickedness. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? And so I think that's why y'all kind of responded like, humble yourself.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard for you to determine what another man is thinking because we can't read each other's minds.
Okay.
So
Okay. No, I agree. And I pray y'all were able to hear Reba. I know she didn't have a mic at that point. Indigo, did you have an opinion on that? What's your thoughts?
On why the prophets fell lonely?
Or anything else? But yeah, that's what I was asking about.
I did have an opinion on something else, not necessarily on why the prophets felt lonely. Honestly, I just don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
I noticed how, like in this chapter, we read about how Yah was talking to the Malakim. He was like, "Who's going to go entice Ahab?" Basically, feed him pleasing
Yeah.
words or a strong delusion. And it made me think about that that scripture that says, I'm paraphrasing, like, I'll give you over to a strong delusion. so that you can believe a lie, basically, right? And so that you can believe this, but it's what is that scripture? Hold on, because I can read it. It's like better.
Because you have not the love of the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Ahab, he didn't have a love for the truth. His love was in Baal and his prophets of Baal, his wife Jezebel, whatever. But he didn't have a love for the truth, and he was given over to a strong delusion to the point where he didn't believe the actual prophet of Yahweh told him that you're gonna die in this upcoming battle. And he said he locked him away, saying, "When I come back safe, then you can get out."
Right. Yeah. You're right. He didn't love the truth at all. And there you have again that duality of being able to see something in the so-called Old Testament and the same thing quoted in the so-called New Testament. Yeah. He didn't love the truth. He loved things. He loved power. He loved esteem for himself and for his household. Let's see.
Second
Coach Tishana
Thessalonians
says,
2:9.
I recently started
Thank you.
trying to bring my family on this walk and a few friends, but I'm now calling the crazy Bible punishing family member or friend. Oh wow. Yeah, it's difficult sometimes. You said and I read you said it's discouraging. Okay. A Coty Kimmy said it made her think about Job and how y'all allowed the adversary to tempt him. Okay.
Right.
Yep. All right, Coty posted the scripture for you, 2 Thessalonians 2:11. One of your favorites, Kane says. Mine too. Yep. All right, family. So look, next week we are cruising right on through this thing. 2 Kings, y'all ready?
Yeah.
You know, we keep reading, are not the rest of the acts of Ahab, are not the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat written in the annals of the chronicles of the king? Make me believe there's more books out there. Now we have Chronicles, we have First and Second Chronicles, and some of those things are written in First and Second Chronicles. But it reads as if that there's another Chronicles of these kings as well. There probably would have been a record being kept by some scribes. Probably in the basement of the Vatican, Rib says. Okay. Okay. All right. Hallelujah. Family. Toda Indigo for helping us do our reading.
No problem.
I think y'all helped me realize today why a lot of times when we see people do the live stream, they have the headset because you can hear without also recording on the mic. So we may make that change. We'll see. But outside of that, it is a blessing, family, and it's always a blessing to
Thank you.
join you guys to get our reading in and our fellowship in. And with that, okay, good job. There we go.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thank
family.
you.
With that, we will see you guys next week and next time. I pray y'all enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Have a blessed day.
Shabbat shalom.
Don't eat too much.
Hi, everybody.
Like me. I already have, but I'm gonna go eat a little more.
I plan to eat too much.
Love you guys,
Hungry.
family. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I say yes. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Nevertheless, I must confess. Yes, this is Project Wake Up Jacob. On the Sabbath we rest and reflect upon his goodness. Because we are guided by the Ruach Kodesh. Yes, whenever I get dressed, yes, I'm dripping Kodesh fresh. Yes, this style fit me down to a T. Because I'm a ruffian, discussing precepts from the holy manual of his constructions. And